If you want to leave your corporate job without destroying your finances, your marriage, or your sanity, you need a system, not motivation, a system. That's why I created the Reset framework, the exact 5-step process I'm using right now at 51 to transition from 25 to 30 years in corporate sales to building my own business. And this isn't theory. This is my actual exit plan that I'm executing in real time right here in public. And here's the mistake 90% of people make. They wait for courage. They wait to feel ready. They wait for that perfect moment. But courage doesn't come first. Clarity comes first, right? So in the next roughly 12 minutes, I'm going to be breaking down all the 5 steps of what I call the reset framework. By the end, you'll know exactly where you are in the process and what your next move is. And starting with, the step most people skip, which is why they stay stuck for years. So I have a little bit of information here that I'm going to use to stay on track. And let's dive into this. If you haven't come across me before, my name is Gavin Weber, and I've been mostly in straight commission sales all of my career. Quite frankly, I have made pretty good money. I have created a good life. Yet, I often felt like I'm playing small, that I'm kind of stuck. And I'm in that second chapter where my kids, we're almost empty nesters, my wife and I, and we've been providing, doing the kid thing. And the second chapter is on the horizon. And I want more freedom. I want more, I'm spending my time on stuff that I really enjoy and like. And I have felt like I didn't have time. I had all these things that I've done other, videos about that were preventing me, keeping me stuck. So this channel, and especially this video, is about how to get unstuck and what that looks like. And I've come up with what I'm teaching and living called the Reset framework. So I'm going to break that down to you right now. And this is kind of a series. I'm going to go into detail today. You'll find it very, I think, enlightening, encouraging, inspiring. And then I'm going to break it down even further in the future with like exact, action steps. But first, you need to know what this looks like. And so you can decide, hey, is this something that I want to do myself? So it's important. Like I said, in the beginning, you have to have a system with this. So what a lot of people will just say is, oh, like just quit your job. Like that's not feasible for me. I have bills. It's probably not feasible for you. And I'm pretty good at my job. I'm not passionate about it. I've been doing it forever and I'm ready for a new challenge. But how do I bridge from that to where I want to go? And I want to do that with a lower risk. I don't want to just jump off a cliff and see if I can fly. I've done that. It doesn't work very well. I found out on the way down that I can't fly. And so, I want this to be something that people can really relate to and do what I'm doing too. And so I'm, sharing in public. But what happens without a system is your motivation fades, the strategy fades, how am I going to do this? The belief fades. And with a system, you can stay on track. And that's what Reset's all about. It's going to give you that. You don't need a pep talk. You need a process, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. And I've read so many books. I've read, on mindset, on business, on leadership, on sales, the whole gamut. And I, don't feel like any of them tell me what to do on a Tuesday morning when I'm down or tired of my job or wish I was doing something else, right? And that's what this whole channel is about. So I built this framework because it's practical and I call it Reset. This is kind of a reset, like a transition in your life. So let's break it down. This is what it stands for. The R, it stands for recognize. I'm going to go into it further. The E, the first E stands for envision. The S stands for strategize. And the second E stands for execute. And then the T stands for trust. Now, you're like, oh, those words. No, I'm going to show you differently than what you're expecting right now, what that looks like, what that means, what that process is, so you can actually implement it. And I'm going to go through each one right now. So recognize the all. You need to know you're ready, not just uncomfortable, not just like, oh, I have an itch. Like, you really need to recognize that you are finally ready. You've had enough and you're ready to do something about it. Until then, it's just hearsay. It's just words. It's just something you probably talked about for years. I've been one of those people like, and I've tried, but I just never got far down the road. And I recognize that I'm so ready now. I'm starting a YouTube channel. I'm putting this out there. I'm holding myself accountable and I'm coming up with a plan and you're going to get to follow it along with me. But, you know, there's just a huge difference on recognizing between like having a bad week and your soul saying, I've had enough and it's time to go. And I'm 51. I mean, I thought I'd be there at 35 or 45, and I can feel that clock ticking. Do you feel that clock ticking? Like there's so much possibility in this world, and you want to travel, you want to have freedom, you want to be able to do these things instead of just coming home every day exhausted, getting through the week, and then using the weekend to recover. I've been doing that for like 3 decades. Not fun, right? So, um, I'm going to go in my next video next week is like it's called the 7 specific signs that tell you which you know if you're ready to recognize, if you're ready to move on. And if you have 5 of those 7, then the answer is yes. But you don't need that right now. I think you'll really like that video, but just ask yourself, are you ready? And if you're not, subscribe and just come and watch, the show and watch what's going to happen. And eventually you may be ready. But most people, including myself, ignore the signs, like the 7 signs I'm going to give you. They ignore them for years. And then they just wonder why they wake up one day empty and depressed and like, what have I done with my life? Well, and then it's just like, okay, I just got to get to retirement and then it'll be great. And then my life will start. Are you serious? Like when our bodies are starting to fall apart, that's when we get serious? Like, no, I'm going to be doing the Camino Santiago, this trail later this year, because I don't want to wait till I'm 60 or 65. And I don't know, how I'm going to have to find the time and take it off and the money and all that, but I'm doing that. And that's what it looks like even for this. Are you going to do it? Okay. And, again, I'm going to break down those 7 signs, and I think they will be eye-opening. I think it'll bring you clarity and be extremely helpful. But right now, just step 1 on this reset, I don't want to overwhelm you today, is recognize. Number 2, envision. Getting clarity on what you're building. Like, what would it look like in your life? What do you see? What do you envision? What do you hope for? What do you dream for? And really getting that clarity, because if you don't know what you want, how are you going to allow it and attract it and move towards it? You're not. That's why you've been getting the same things over and over for years. Why I've been getting the same things over and over for years is because I've been doing the same things, thinking the same thoughts, having the same fears, not doing anything different. And of course, it's like this hamster wheel. So you don't need to know your passion. You need to know your direction. That's the key part of the envision aspect of this. So, what I would recommend is, finding your passion. I understand that, but it's in a lot of ways, it's terrible advice because it allows you to like stay stuck. Oh, I don't know what I'm passionate about, or I do know what I'm passionate about, but there's no way I can make money on that. So that's not really about the passion right now. You're not 22 anymore, right? You don't need to rediscover yourself or discover yourself. You need to actually remember yourself, remember who you are, remember what lights you up, remember what excites you and motivates you and inspires you and what you love most about life. You know that. And it's not a passion. It's more like who you are, and acknowledge that, right? And then it's not about, oh, what job do I want? But who do I want to become? What would my life look like if I was at the ultimate, situation for what I was bringing to each day? who I was being, my energy, my vibration. And then what would that look like in a form of giving and service and value to the world? And so we get stuck on like, well, how am I going to make money? What is my, you know, what's my next career? What would my business look like? And yes, those questions are all going to be answered, but this is much more about who do I really want to become and what would that look like being that every single day? A huge distinction there. So, for me, like this YouTube channel, it wasn't about finding my passion for YouTube. I mean, does anybody really want to like put like tons of videos out there and get almost no views? I mean, I I have a lot of videos and some of them I've done okay, but I watch these, YouTube gurus trying to help and learn part of the process. And they're like, "Oh, are you stuck in the 200 views, purgatory?" It's like 200 views, bro. How about, are you stuck in like the 10 to 30 views? Okay. Part of the process though, and I'm here for it. So it's not like I'm passionate about YouTube, but if this is what it takes for the next chapter and to get to find my people and to get to share my gifts with the world, I'm here for it. And that's one of the things like about this step is getting that clarity of what and who you are and what you would like to bring to the world. And I was realizing I've always been like a guide. I've always been good at sharing and relating and connecting with people. And that's what's made me good in sales. It's not about like, oh, I want to make a sale. It's like, I want to connect with that person and provide value and see if what I have to offer will help them. That's what this channel is about. I hope this provides tremendous value. I hope it inspires you. I hope it gives you a roadmap. And that's where I've realized I've been doing that for 30 years. It's just, I've been making someone else a lot of money doing that. And for me right now, with this aspect, and using YouTube as an example, it's just the form. The essence has always been there. So I'm learning, like, I've been doing a lot of videos on scripting. I'm not going to script this. I'm going to, talk more openly. And I want that transparency, authenticity to hopefully come through. So if it is, and you watch any of my other videos, I would love some, I don't know, comments, love. What do you think of this new format? And so here's some common mistakes I want to warn you about on this step of Envision is that, don't just like jump to tactics, meaning like starting a business or like a side hustle, like before you have this clarity. That's coming. Okay. That is coming. Yet otherwise you're going to just recreate what you already have. You're going to jump to another job. You're like, oh my gosh, it's the same thing. Or you're going to find a business that you're like, oh, it's just about the money. But then you're not that person that you would want to be. You're not living the life you want. All you did was musical chairs and you're just in another chair in the same situation. So don't fall for that. And that's why people start a bunch of businesses and quit them all or fail, because that's me. And maybe 17 is that number. I'm just arbitrarily putting it on here. But, I would do a lot of things that weren't me because, oh, this person said that you can make money, or, this is what's hot. This is the topic. This is the viral thing right now. Oh, they're doing that. I can do that. I didn't care about that. I didn't want to do that. So eventually that, who I was didn't align with that. And it was just a matter of time that it wasn't going to work out. So you do have to align with something that I'll help you do this, that you want to get up to every day and do, because that's who you are. That's why you will be successful, is because this is who you are. And you get to go be who you are every day. How fun is that? You don't have to self-motivate. You don't have to. It's within you. And then you get to exude that. You get to be that. You get to vibrate at that. And you're just being yourself. Huge distinction there. And it's really important you have the direction first and the vehicle second. And we'll get to the vehicle. So next step, S, strategize. Here's the thing I want you to know. Someday is a lot. Hear that again. Someday's a lot. You need a date. A date makes it real. Someday is like, gosh, I've been saying someday been saying I'll be like a multimillionaire for someday for a long time. It it's just always to be able to say, oh, I have these excuses. Oh, it's always out there. Oh, it's just going to happen. But with the date, it makes it real. Shit just got real. What's the date? So I'm sharing publicly, like my timeline is 10 months or sooner. That like I had a really good year. I was like the number one salesperson last year. I'm like, I don't think I can keep this pace up anymore. I don't think I can like just keep saying the same thing over and over. It's like painstakingly boredom. And again, I have gratitude. Do not feel sorry for me at all. I'm like, I can't do this for another 15, 20 years. I can't, you know, just be Groundhog's Day, waking up doing the same thing. It's like, oh, you have a good life, but you just got to get through today. It's so conditional and it feels so limiting, and I'm over it. Do you feel that way? And if you do, then what is your timeline? What would be like, okay, not overly crazy aggressive. 10 months seems like, like I could do that. I'd prefer it to be like 3 or 4 months. I don't want to be 2 or 3 years, but that might be for you, maybe 2 years, maybe a year, but it has to be a little outside of your comfort zone. It can't be just completely comfortable. It might be 6, 12, 18. Just depends on your situation, depends on your level, really how much you recognize you're ready. Okay? But it needs to be very specific. And I'm openly holding myself accountable in public about mine. And we'll see, right? You're going to be on this journey with me. Um, and, but again, when it's vague, you procrastinate. If you're like, oh, maybe in a couple of years, right? Then you can just keep putting that off. Then it's a couple of years, then it's a couple of years. And all of a sudden 5, 10 years go by and you're like, what happened to someday? Right. And when there's a date, your brain takes it seriously. That's proof. I'm ready. I'm ready. I mean, I am ready. Are you ready? And you've got to ask yourself that. And I chose 10 months because I needed enough time to build, but not so much time that I could actually chicken out. And I've chickened out a lot. I say that quite frankly. If my wife were here, she'd be like, uh-huh. Yeah. The second E, execute. So the first moves of your strategy and plan of that transition while you're employed. This is where people fail. This is where I fail. I have left the job before. I have just quit and be like, oh, if I have more free time, I got a few months of savings or so, but then I can really dive into it. That's terrifying. And that's pressure. And what happens is you're creating from lack of pressure. Like this has to happen. This has to go this way. And when things are slow or don't go the way you want, what do? Oh, it wasn't meant to be. And you just go back to what you're doing. You're like, oh, this isn't so bad. You convince yourself, oh, this is pretty good. What I should, other people would, kill for this, or other people would really want this. And so then you just deny and you ignore. And then after another year or two, you're back there and you're like, okay, I'm ready again. So it's really important that you don't quit. You don't quit to start. You start this process to then eventually quit and that job or whatever you don't like about your life right now. And the key points I would want to say on this, step is the biggest mistake is that thinking you have to quit first, like I just said. And the second biggest mistake is doing nothing until you do quit. You have the time. This is the second chapter. Your kids don't need you as much right now. Maybe you are younger, and welcome if you are, but I don't have the excuses I used to have anymore. Yes, I work, sometimes 40, 50 hours a week, but I have time on the weekends. I have times at night. And if I really want this, no more excuses of like, oh, I'm tired, I'm just going to watch a game or watch Netflix tonight or hang out with my wife. Like, no, this is happening. This is almost like this. You could call it a side hustle, but it's like a purpose hobby of stepping into my greatness with all of you, right? I want to do this with all of you. And the answer to the riddle is strategic moves while you're employed. Build this, take the steps while you're employed. I'm actually creating a new group. You could call it a new program to where it's going to help people through this process. I don't even have it, the beta yet, but I had the idea the other day, like I need to build some things as part of this reset and go through. I'm really good at getting AI and like, hey, how can I leverage myself with AI and some of these things to fill in some gaps, help me overcome some mental hurdles, and to get really that strategy. So if you're interested in that, type interested, and I will send you some information. Maybe you can be like a beta member. I'm looking for some people who would want to get involved to do this transition and take their knowledge and experience to build something on the side using AI to leverage it without risk and find that sweet spot of what they could see themselves doing that would be downstream. So if that's you, hit interested and I will get in touch with you. Um, so uh, you really need to start. I'm going to be doing a video on this in like great detail. Like you don't have to be a part of that program for this, but if you've got, for me, 10 months, I've got the months mapped out. I've got like, this is what I'm doing. This is for this month. These are the videos and stuff. And so what does it look like throughout that process? And be very detailed about that. For me, step one is executing this channel, like starting to put it out there. I'm putting it out there before I've even built some of the stuff. I have a meditation app called Guide. That is one thing I'm going to be marketing, as it's, I am passionate about it. I do guided meditation. There was a gap in the market. You can get that in the description, but I built that using AI and it's unbelievable. And if you had any idea how you can take your expertise or what you really enjoy about life and turn it into like a business or an app, you'd be shocked. And maybe you already know and you're in the right place. Also, not because I knew it would work, right? So I feel like it's important that you don't just think, oh, everything is going to be hunky-dory, or this is going to be an easy process. It's all learning. It's all possibility. Everybody who's ever done something great that they're really proud of, whether they made money or just like they loved what they did, like there's a learning curve. There is a learning curve. But if you find something that resonates with you, like this channel, you find a group of people, you find a course, you find a teaching, you find, something along those lines that aligns with you, then you get that accountability and you also enjoy the process. And I think that's one of the things I've learned for this, why I'm creating this. It's a lonely journey. It's a lonely journey. So I don't want to do it alone. I want to do it with other people that are awesome like you all. But I also, as far as, the execution of this, I needed to start being the person who helps people through this. So I think that's what's missing for a lot of, whether it's, things I've done in the past or YouTube, is I want to not just talk about it. I want to be about it. It's way outside of my comfort zone to not be having a script right now, to share this publicly, and I could fail, right? But it matters to me. And I feel that's congruent. And I feel like that is something that's transparent, which is what I want this channel to be about. I want it to be real. I don't want it to be like, oh, like I already did it, so now I'm going to talk about 2 years ago. Like you get to see all the shit that happens. You get to see the ups and downs, right? And I just think it's important that you need to know that like that's part of this process and, executing. There's going to be ups and downs. The income's going to come, right? The identity shift has to happen first. And that, execution's part of this is that they start coming together. Who do you have to become? What do you need to know? And what then needs to be executed for it all to align to then show up as abundance and a lot of different other things. So you don't need to have it all figured out to start. Know that you just need to take one action that moves you towards the vision. That's what Execute's about. Take an action. For me, YouTube channel. For me, creating Guide, the meditation app for myself and for other people to rewire my brain. And coming up with like a system of like topics for what I want to teach on here and how I want to execute the YouTube channel, how I want to execute the new group I'm going to be doing. So that's all those steps are showing myself I'm serious. I'm doing this. Right? I would never spend all this time if I wasn't serious. So that's a big part of what executing is. Just get some momentum, and that starts creating some clarity. there's been a lot of things that are like, oh, I thought I was going to go here and it's evolved. That's going to happen. Like you start somewhere, but you start and you build and you grow. And all of a sudden you look back and you're like, wow, look at that wake. Look how far I've come. I don't even see where I just swam away from. I'm off to the island I want to go to. T, finally, trust. I call this the spiritual component of this. I would consider myself a personal growth, uh, like, I don't know what you could call junkie. I'm really big into mindset. I'm also spiritual. And I feel like trust is the thing that is the bridge. And so this is where most, how to quit your job advice stops, and they don't cover this. And it's also why people fail. So you need to be able to have faith and trust and knowing before the evidence ever shows up. And that's where, other things I've talked about, but you have to have a huge why, but having that clarity of knowing and seeing like this is happening. And, I feel like if you don't have the trust part of it, eventually there's going to be enough things that, yes, aren't going to go out plan, or you're expecting it to be a certain way, and you're not going to see the evidence that was on your terms and your timeline, and you quit. And that's what's happened for me forever. I feel like my chair slowly goes down. All of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, am I even in the camera anymore? But, you can have the perfect plan and still freeze. But if you have trust, you'll keep going, because underneath the logistics is for all of us fear. Like I'm in fear I can't pay my bills. I'm fear I can't provide for my family. I'm fear of letting them down. I'm fearful of letting myself down. Like all of that is there and I know it. So if I can have trust in God and the universe and the planet and the process of why I'm on this planet, I can get through all that stuff because it's just part of the process, and it's all helping us get to where we want to go. I used to look at everything as negative, like, well, it wasn't meant to be. And now I look at it as everything. This is part of the process in giving you the clues and the answer. And it's going to be better than you can ever imagine, Gavin. That's trust. And, feel of failure, judgment, being wrong, losing security. That's what's stopping us from trusting. So how can you develop that muscle? And that's what I'll be teaching. I'm going to go a lot deeper in this, and you can't logic your way out of fear. You just can't. So if you have the muscle of trust and faith and can come from that vibration of knowing without any of it happening yet, you'll keep going. And that's everything. I've watched people like myself. I've had some great plans. I've had some great ideas, but I never left, or I never made it happen. I never stuck with it because I didn't have enough trust. And I've watched people with messy plans leap and land and crush it and kill it. Just look at anybody you admire. Like they might have had a good plan, but they might have had a shit plan, but they just kept going. That trust. And that's the difference, is they trusted the process. They trusted that the guidance would show up. They would trusted that something like this YouTube channel was an answer to their prayers, or another YouTube channel, or something else. And for me, how I practice this is like, I used to do a lot of Joe Dispenza meditations to rewire my mind and to like develop that trust and that knowing and stay in that vibration. Now I listen to my guide meditation app for the same kind of things because it's personalized to me, that's one of the things I saw, like, oh, I wish I had this. I can't find it out there. I'm going to go create it. And I also read, A Course in Miracles. I'm studying reality transurfing, which I think is really cool. And it helps me stay online. So the one thing I want to go through, there's the reset, right? But the mistake 90% of people make that you really need to hear, and I appreciate you being here this long. I would love a like, a comment. And if you want to subscribe, that's wonderful too. But is people skip recognize and jump straight to strategize. Like it's fun to like, oh, let's come up with all these ideas. Let's do this and let's do that and let's do that. But like, they're not serious as they need to be. They skipped recognize. Are you ready? And they skip the other steps. Like that's basically strategize, right? That's the S. And you can't skip to that. You've got to do R&E first. So you make a plan before you're actually ready. And what good is that plan? Like if you don't have any intentions of following that plan, it's just waste of time. You're kidding yourself. So when it gets hard, and it will, you bail. And because you're, operating from fear and not clarity. Hear that. Most of what's stopping you is like you have these doubts and this underlying fear that you don't recognize or you don't want to admit. And then so you don't do anything. But if you had the clarity, if you had the roadmap, if you had the reset process and could follow it, you're going to get down the road. You're going to make it. It's going to happen. And that's what I'm creating. That's what I want to be about. And that's what I want to share with other people. And I have some really cool things to make sure this happens for you. How to know if you're doing this? You're basically, if you're like just strategizing, you're researching business ideas before you've admitted you're leaving, you're building exit plans, but haven't told your spouse. You keep waiting for one more sign, right? That's, and the pattern is research, plan, panic, abandon, repeat. That's so be research, plan, like, oh, that's great. Then no panic, abandon, repeat over and over. It's been going on for years. It's been going on for years for me. It's embarrassing to admit that. I have too much to give to keep settling for that. And here's what you should do. Recognize, be honest where you are and if you're ready. And then move through the framework in order. Each step builds on the last step. It's important to do things in a process and not skip step. So what I want you to do from here, do a self-assessment. Where are you? How do you really feel? Stop ignoring those feelings. Be honest with yourself about the doubts and, recognize where you're at. Are you ready? Okay. And then I'd love it if you, leave a comment that would help this get out to other people who are yearning for this. Subscribe, just so you can see what's coming. This is just the beginning. Share with me in that comment what's holding you back and where do you think you are, like in that recognition phase. And then you might have already seen, I don't know when you're watching this video, but maybe the Recognize deep dive is already out there. Go watch all those. I know I just went through that in a little bit of detail, but I want you to really grasp it. And I'm going to be giving you all the 7 signs and let's see where you're at. Like you might be like, I still don't know. I think I am, Gavin, but that video is going to clarify, like, are you ready for sure or not with those 7 signs? You're going to know exactly where you stand. And look, I want you to know I'm no guru. I'm just a middle-aged 51-year-old guy who is ready for their second chapter, ready to not coast anymore, ready to like make it more about like what I want instead of what everybody else wants, and just needing to refocus on like what I lost in the past. When I say lost, I mean like those parts of me, those dreams I had that I've forgotten, that I let go of because it was too painful to think about them because I didn't feel like I could do them. No, over, right? And I feel like the reset framework is one of the big reasons why I haven't quit or gone back. Yes, I'm about 5 weeks into this. Okay. This is, just beginning of week 5. So beginning of month 2. So clock's ticking. And I have some fears. I am scared to put this video out there. I am frustrating to like have no views in a lot of ways, but like that's part of the process. I'm getting better at YouTube and I'm hoping that being more real and not scripting this and just having some notes is something that people can relate to. There are days I'm like, what am I doing? Is this going to work? Are you going to just fall in that cycle again and panic and quit here soon? I don't think so. But I come back to the framework. I know my next step. I stay on task. And I'm building something because I want to find other people and help them do what I'm doing, but be around those people. And those are my kind of people. If you're watching this, you're my kind of person. So I'll look forward to, developing a relationship with you. So I have a what I call the second community society. Might be on here right now. Look for it. I'll give you a link in the description, but it's coming. If you subscribe, that's part of it, is this channel. And I'm going to be breaking down 2 or 3 videos a week with this transition. And I've got some really cool stuff coming up that is going to help you make income on the side so that you have a way to transition out of the job that you're not, you want the next chapter, right? So I'll just politely say it that way. So I really appreciate you being here. You're not alone. Your people are here. Your support here is here. Your accountability is here. The strategy is here. The reset framework, much more to come on that. And thank you so much, especially if you watched all the way, to the end. If you say, hey, I watched to the end, and you comment, just how about here? That means that you watched to the end. I'm going to do something pretty cool for you. So thank you so much. Much love. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.